Hello, and welcome to this look at the Great Britain 15 rail tour as it travels the length and breadth of the British Isles, as several challenges face the operator and loco support crews. Covering days 1 to 8, we will see 4 locomotives handle the train with some notable firsts for preservation. We'll also see the changing face of the railway, with mechanical signalling seeing out its last few years on the network. Day 1 would see the train head from London Paddington to Plymouth and return to Bristol. We pick up the action at Crofton on the Berks and Hants route, with Black 5 number 44932 taking the trip. Chasing ahead, we next see 44932 making a good go on Whiteball Bank. Having run non-stop through Taunton, the loco was left to take the load by itself and only call for assistance if required. Topping the summit, the loco would make a stop at Tiverton Loop to pick up water, and we next see the loco rejoining the main as it heads towards Exeter. Once through Newton Abbot, the very steep Devon banks start, the first being the sharp Dainton bank with its 1:37 at the summit. We capture the Black 5 making a dash at the bank at Stonacombe, with the 47 providing assistance. after Dainton the next bank would be Rattery before it drops down the 1 in 42 of Hebenham into Plymouth. For the return to Bristol we head to the panoramic view of Tynemouth and the River Tyng. With a steam trail in the distance, we follow the train along the estuary. Once through Tynemouth, the train heads out onto the famous Dawlish seawall and on to Exeter for another water stop. For the final shot of the day, we head back to Whiteball Bank and see 44932 on the western climb just after Tiverton Parkway. We start day 2 on the outskirts of Bristol, near Filton Abbey Woods, with today's leg running from Bristol to Holyhead via the Welsh Marches route. Today's locomotive would be Jubilee class number 45596 Bahamas, and the first climb of the day would be Filton Bank. In the damp conditions, Bahamas takes a steady run up the bank with the sounders on. Heading on to the Welsh Marches route, we encounter our first mechanical box of the day at Abergavenny. With time running out for many semaphore signals, we would do our best to see as many as possible on our journey. With a stop at Hereford, we headed for Bromfield and mechanical box number 2. With many of the semaphores on this route already consigned to history, we enjoy the scene here as the route is cleared of Bahamas passes before being put back to danger. With the next booked water stop at Chirk, the Jubilee was worked behind local services from Shrewsbury, and running nearly an hour late, Bahamas crosses the 19-arch Cefn Moor Viaduct. Heading over to the North Wales coast, we encountered at mechanical box number 3 at Abergele. Although closed on the 24th of March 2018, the Grade 2 listed box is in superb condition and still contains its frame. Shadowing the tour since Bristol was Class 47 number 47802 and heads through around 10 minutes before Bahamas. With a clear run, Bahamas cruises along the coastline on this last part of the journey to Holyhead. Heading over the Menai Straits and onto Anglesey, the weather takes a turn for the worst. As low clouds and strong winds greet us, we see our final mechanical box for the day at Tree Cross. With manual gates and semaphores, it was certainly on the endangered list, with the semaphores on their last few months of use. With day 3 being a rest day for the tour, we pick up the action on day 4 and the impressive view overlooking Colwyn Bay. Back in charge today was Bahamas for the leg from Llandudno to Carnforth, where it changes for Royal Scot Class number 46115 Scots Guardsmen. This will be in use for the Scottish legs too. After the water stop at Chester, we head to Sutton Bridge, crossing the River Weaver, where a large crowd gathered to capture the scene. With Bahamas' runs over, we now head over to the famous Shat Bank and Greenholm as modern-day Glasgow expresses give way to Scots Guardsmen as it roars up the 1 in 75 gradient to Shat Summit. With the train booked into Platform 1 at Carlisle, it would be unable to take water, so a scheduled stop at Penrith was made. This allowed us to get another shot on the other side of Penrith. Rolling into its water stop at Lockerbie on time, disaster struck. As the crew carried out their checks on the locomotive, a hot tender axle box was discovered, bringing an end to Scots Guardsman's run, and now West Coast Railways having to find another loco for the leg to Aberdeen. With the prospect of diesel haulage in Scotland, things looked bleak for the tour and with little options available. With the heroics of the Bahamas Locomotive Society, 45596 Bahamas would be readied for the long journey north, to take Day 5 and the morning leg of Day 6. During the night and into the early hours, Bahamas and a support crew headed north, stopping at Lockerbie to drop off supplies for the stricken Scot before carrying on to Edinburgh. With Day 5 now back as steam haulage, we start the day at the iconic Forth Bridge and witness Bahamas' first preservation visit to Scotland. With the skies clearing, we arrive at Errol, with its mechanical box and array of semaphore signals. With a clear run, Bahamas races through the Urbana station and on to Dundee. Right next to the sea at Carnegie, we see one of the few remaining HST sets in service, as it powers away from a signal check. Having also been signal checked, Bahamas accelerates slowly behind. Making the return run from Aberdeen, we pick up the tour at Montrose. With the tide rapidly going out, we see and hear the Jubilee climb away from Montrose and over the impressive Ferryden Viaduct. Heading back to Errol, the setting sun lights up the locomotive as it accelerates away from another signal check and heads back to Edinburgh. Day 6 and more glorious weather lay ahead. Today's leg would be Edinburgh to Blackpool, with Bahamas working to Carlisle before handing over to another loco. Jubilee number 45690 Leander. Our day started at Crawford on the West Coast Main Line as Bahamas speeds south towards Beatock Summit. With Bahamas' heroics over, we head over to the Aysgill on the Settle and Carlisle Railway, awaiting the single chimney Jubilee. With 15 miles of nearly continuous 1 in 100, we see the plume of smoke appear round the hill as Leander digs in for the final few miles to the summit. Heading over to Wilkesbere Bank as Leander powers through and on the 1 in 82 gradient. Nipping around the other side of Blackburn, Leander heads straight into the sun at Pleasington before we head off for one last shot of the day. With the sun getting low, we look across the fields near Powton as a vintage tractor is at work in the fields. Leander glides past on the embankment on the last few miles of Blackpool and brings a close to the end of action on day 6. Day 7, and the tour will be heading from coast to coast, Blackpool to Scarborough, via Copy Pit. At our first location for the day, we see Leander powering through the strong winds at Bristol. The main climb of the day would be over Copy Pit, and expecting the Jubilee to be doing most of the work, we set up just after the summit tunnel. However, with a large amount of assistance on the climb, the train made light work of the gradient and crested over the summit. After a break in York, we now head into the rain and see our last mechanical box on this trip at Kirkham Abbey. With a great set of mechanical gates too, we see the sequence of waiting for road traffic to clear before swinging the gates shut. Rattling through the rain, Leander passes through on its last leg to Scarborough, and the end of day 7. Day 8, and today's leg would see the tour run from Scarborough to King's Lynn. At York, Leander would hand over the reins back to Black 5 number 44932. We had a misty start to the day, but very little wind, so it was going to produce some great exhaust. At Seamer, alongside the A64, Leander gets into its stride on the short hop to York. With the loco swap complete, the Black 5 was now going to make a dash down the East Coast main line to Doncaster, and we pick it up at Little Head. This is where the East Coast main line crosses over the line to Goole, which is used by the merry-go-round services carrying wood pellets for Drax Power Station. With an LNER service right behind it, the Black 5 makes good progress towards Doncaster, and we say farewell to the Great Britain 15 tour as we make our way back down south.